Copper is one of those resources you can have in abundance, and yet it still takes ages to gather. Spreading it out over massive areas just to let it oxidize through the right stages isn't exactly ideal. So today I want to set up a proper way to do just that, where originally I planned to build a full copper workshop, but the more I thought about it, the more it felt like something that belongs inside the walls of a future city in this region. A city I'm incredibly excited about, and one I know is going to take years to finish. Right now, all I really know is where I want that city to go. So instead of committing too early, I'm starting smaller. I'm building a copper processing plant just outside the future city walls. A place that lore-wise turns raw copper into ingots, ready to be shipped deeper into the city. But building out here past the castle comes with a familiar problem. There's no path. Which means we've got to put together some resources. Where I've traveled out to the swamp where I have my slime farm, as there are a few gravelly hills biomes out here and I need to restock on gravel, filling my inventory up to the brim. Thrown out through the portal to the overworld, I'm quickly climbing the ladder to the nether roof where I need to refill on some more mushroom blocks for the path, as I've used all the ones I gathered last time. Back home, I'm quickly just grabbing some light grey wool from the very useful sheep farm, which honestly has saved me so much time. On to the next thing, over towards the jungle, as I finally need to restock on just a little bit of jungle wood, as I like using a mix of jungle slabs and mud brick slabs to bring my paths down a block. Back towards the house, I also need to restock on acacia wood, as I need to redo some of the terrain around the castle, which definitely is going to involve creating a few rock faces, which means I need a few other books as well for that, where right at the top of my mind I have this room where I gather my moss, and right now I need to restock on pale moss. I really should invest in a farm soon. Was good going here now though, because I uncovered another patch of andesite, which is something I've also ran out of and need to restock. Now I need a lot of mud, and I'd like to grab a saddle to find ourselves a donkey. Should it be that hard? We'll just have to ride around on Rumble and spot one, right? Oh my god! The best change ever. I forgot. I literally just updated 21.11. Oh my god, we can swim with the horses. Oh, that's such an amazing change. Where I'm having absolutely zero luck looking through both plains and savanna biomes, my final bet is a meadows one. Oh, finally, a donkey. Oh, there's two. Oh, perfect. Yoink. Oh, and it's turning night. Did end up having to sleep, but managed to get home safely, just getting a little temporary donkey pen built up. Getting the donkeys tamed here, they unfortunately start out only going about 7.5 blocks per second, so I want to breed them a little to try and get a faster one. But just sugar, and with him tame, let's see. Oh, he's slower than the base one. Well then, just go into, don't look at this. Well, that was weird. I don't know what happened there. Oh well, let's get a little distracted while we wait for these to be able to breathe again. Okay, let's craft up our first spear. Ooh. Can I run into things? Oh, look at me. That is so big. What? That's massive. I guess let's go and get up to level 30. I mean, it is a cool weapon, I will admit. I'm probably more likely to use this than a mace, at least. Because, like, this is kind of fun to just, like, run around with when you're on a horse. Let's get this spear enchanted. Well, lunch 3 only. Okay, I gotta try it. I gotta try it. Can I just... How do you do it? Oh. Ooh. Can I just... Whee! Okay, wait, this is actually something that might be worth having on you. This lunch is... That's really nice, actually. I mean, it takes up a bunch of, like, one durability each time. But that is really fast. Oh, and so much food, though. Right, well, let's get these spread up another time. Sugar. I guess with them breaking, that would break even less as well. I gotta get some emeralds together. Okay, we are getting full on distracted here, as I want to max this spear out. Still don't have a good way of getting any emeralds, but harvesting the sugarcane farm, or at least what's grown of it. Crafting that into paper, I also have a few books left that we can utilize to hopefully get enough emeralds. Where I want to get Unbreaking 3 and Mending. I also think I have just enough to also get a Sharpness 5 book. Right, let's get these 2 books. put together. And we could put looting on this as well, but I didn't have enough emeralds, and I didn't really fancy waiting around to get more. So this will have to do for now. Okay, we can probably try this out in the desert while we're down there. Let's get this guy to grow up. Breed these two up. And a 7.6. It's improvement. It's an improvement. How fast is this guy? 7.9. Okay, if we breed you and... Wait, oh. Wait, what? Why can't I not breed them? Oh no. Oh well, 7.6. It's about 0.1 blocks a second faster. And well, I barely even have to slow this down to be considered slow mode. I'm pretty sure it would have been way faster to just run down to the mangrove forest twice. Swapping out the slow horse with a chest to a boat with a chest to head across the sound, where I'm filling up the inventory with mud as I want to build another small little river traveling down towards the ocean. Now an inventory actually isn't enough, so dropping off 15 stacks at the boat and then back into the swamp I go to completely fill back up on mud once again. Back over by the donkey. Let's fill that up with mud. And then I have another 15 stacks in here. On our way back now, and the donkey might not be ideal, but I really wanted to try out the spear. And well, slightly disappointed at this. I really wish it would one-shot mobs when riding into them, because right now the mobs just kind of get sent in front of you and then you can't hit them again for some reason. Back home though, I think it's about time that we start working on the actual project for today. And that actually begins right here in the front of the starter base, as I've finally decided to fix this hole in the terrain that I've been wanting to do since I moved into the area over 600 days ago. Which first of all requires making it a bit worse, clearing away a bit more terrain and placing all the grass blocks I get back down. Where I think you are starting to see where I'm going with this. I, of course, want to create a lake that will be the source of the river running down to the project site of today, where currently I'm filling in the pit with a mix of mud and coarse dirt. It's looking really weird now with this really spotty mud, but I did bring in some coarse dirt here along the edge, as I did that on the small little stream I built in a previous episode over there, and I just really loved how that made the entire body of water fit into the world so much better. But we should probably fix up all of this grass, which actually just starts with requiring 2 buckets, where I think there are 2 source blocks right down here that we can use to fill all of this up. Where the water in, all there is left to do is come in and run around and spam with a bottle of water, turning the dirt into mud, saving both time and resources. And that there is looking a lot nicer already. Still got foliage to add, but we'll do that later, as I want to keep extending the river down further first. Where we probably don't need the beacon for this little stretch here up until the bridge leading up to the castle. But coming over on this side, I do think I want to bring this train down. And I've also decided I kind of want to redo this cliff right here with a new rock face. And for that, I'm definitely going to have to do a bunch of digging, which means I need my beacon that is still at the monastery project I built in the last episode. So let's get the beacon here grabbed up, getting it rebuilt just underneath the bridge between the 2 sections of my castle. Then walking up to the lake, where we can start clearing away the first small stretch to the castle path bridge. Using grass and dirt from this, filling in the piece of terrain between the river, bridge, lake, and the path that has been floating for a couple of 100 days. Hopping over to the other side, like I mentioned earlier, I want to create a new cliff face, which is why we brought the beacon over, as I've got a fair bit of terrain to first clear away to make space for both that and the river. Where it's coming along really nicely, but my shovel is pretty much broken, and well, luckily I'm right next to the entrance to my XP farm. Just gotta head through the kitchen, still have to fix this up, and down into the mine, where I can stand for a little bit, just slicing through some mobs to get that repaired. Let's just get back to digging. Clearing away the final blocks remaining for the cliff face made a lot easier, considering there's a ravine at the bottom. I've also got to take down the terrain a few steps on the other side of the ravine to bring it down to the edge of the river. Okay, I can't wait longer. I want to start digging in the river, which means I need some mud, coarse dirt, probably a little bit of grass and dirt, and some muddy mangrove roots. With this, starting the riverbed for the first little stretch past the mined out cliff. where I've managed to position the beacon right in the way of the river, so gonna have to finish digging over here and then get that moved. But that does give me a good excuse to work on this mess. Grabbing a couple of blocks back from the resources we gathered earlier to start extending the cliffs in, focusing a lot on bringing in darker blocks along the bottom, moving into brighter blocks as we go up, also adding some shadows and crevices. And looking back at how this cliff looked just a few in-game days ago, the difference is breathtaking, with the new cliff looking so much better. But we've got to keep working, as we've almost got this river down to the build site. And just like any new section of terrain in a forest biome, first mission is just to get the trees cleared away. And then my plan is to continue the custom rock phase a bit further, as it would make sense to have the same style terrain all around the castle. But before we can build up that, I need to do a ton of digging, clearing out some plateaus and all the blocks down to the river, which is gradually sloping further and further down the world towards the ocean. And with the space cleared, I want to continue extending the river, but the beacon is in the way, so I've got to tear that down first, so that I can continue the muddy riverbed with the coarse dirt and muddy mangrove roots to break it up and make sure it fits into the terrain around it nicely. Got a bit more grass extended in to create those plateaus, and now I just want to continue with our cliffs, supporting them, and maybe we'll come back in here a little later and add in a field or two. Would be a shame to waste the space. But this side of the valley is turning out great at this point with our new cliff faces. And I do want to get started with today's actual project, but I can't leave the river empty. Just got to run it up with a bucket of water, filling in layer by layer to have it sloping gradually. Which is looking good for now, and I want to add in a bunch of foliage as well, but first let's focus on getting some blocks together for the copper processing factory. And a fitting item to get started with is the copper items that I need to actually build it. Over the past few months, I've gotten quite a mixed bag of copper blocks in my storage, but not quite enough, so I need to, for hopefully the final time, create an ugly copper field outside my front door. And I'm actually running out of copper, so heading over to a nearby cave opening where we can mine a bunch of copper ore and restock on some coal to smelt it into ingots. Hopefully a little later we could maybe try finding a trial chamber and get the copper needed for the actual plant from that. Just waiting for the final couple of blocks to oxidize, but we got a barrel and a half of copper items. Fitting enough, considering I'm building a plant. Got a few more resources here around, but I do need to restock on a bit of tuff and some deep slate. Snag the beacon as it's already disassembled, so let's get that back up and running down in the mine with haste 2. Even though I don't need a ton of tuff or deep slate, it's always good to have, so finding a blob of tuff and tearing it all down to use both today and future projects. Sending that inventory of tuff up, I'm also just restocking on a few stacks of deep slate, as I nearly have enough already, but not quite. While the beacon is still running, I've headed up into the mine, as I'm pretty much all out of granite and would like to restock that while I can still insta-mine. Which is all the stone blocks we'll need. Just got to grab the beacon back, as I have a bunch more digging to do for the project itself. Back up on the surface, just gotta grab the tuff I sent and just make sure. Yeah, that's what I thought. This is a little bit of a problem because he's currently holding something that doesn't actually have a spot in any of these chests, and if I were to remove this polished deep slate, he'd put it in here. I was actually just thinking about this because I sent out some diamond ore. Let me see if we can fix this. I think, yeah, we have the flint in there now. If we were to just dig into the ground here just a little bit, we can get a hopper running into this chest, which will let the items filter down into here. So whenever it has something that it can't fit, it will first go into this chest and then down into this one, meaning this won't be as a filter. Oh well, now you put the redstone in there, and the redstone has a place. Oh, but that's not the last one he checks. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, maybe I'll fix it in the future. For now, let's get back to resource gathering, where I've just got to spend a little bit of time in the stone cutter, turning the tough deep slate and granite into the blocks that we'll actually need to build the build. What on earth is this? Oh my god, it's so many horse though. He has a spear and it's a baby one and it's so fast. Right. Oh no. Oh. Ouch! Wait. I have an idea. Just gotta get back home. Where's my horse? Yeah. Oh, did I lose my horse again? Oh, sorry, donkeys. Right, at least we have a donkey. Oh, I can't even get out of the pen. This will be epic. Yeah! Oh, no! No! That was my fastest donkey! Take this! Ah! Oh! Oh! What? Kill my donkey! Oh, I shouldn't have taken the fastest one. That's my only 9-speed donkey. Wait, do zombie horses burn to death? I think it's gone. Also, where's Rumble? Oh, I'll probably find him on a hill somewhere. Just might as well breathe these up again. Maybe we can get another 9-1 again. Okay, well, that didn't quite work. And that one's super slow. I think I actually know where well, I forgot Rumble. Over at the cave a while ago. Yep. There you are, Rumbles. Sorry. Back on track after that distraction, though. I've just got a handful of items left. First off, a couple of pale oak logs to gather. I had a bit of dark oak for most of the items, but missing about a stack of stripped logs, so chopping down a tree to get those. And then pretty much all out of spruce in the house, and I need nearly 3 stacks of stripped logs, so taking down the spruce trees at the back to finish up our wood blocks, at least here at home. Before dropping this off though, I want to use a bit of podzol for the courtyard of the copper plant, which these trees have created for me to grab. After a bit of crafting in the base, I've got to leave the area and head down to the mangrove swamp once again. I could have grown mangrove trees at home, but clearing away all the roots and everything, it's just so much easier to chop them directly at the swamp. An automatic mangrove farm though, that sounds really nice. And that is pretty much all of the blocks that we're going to need for this copper plant. Just need to fill up on one more, which has me popping into the nether, where I still haven't figured out how to get rid of the nether fog in 1.21.11, but I'm sure I will at some point. For now, just grabbing a few magma blocks. Got our resources moved over here to the end of the river, sort of in a hole at the moment, and I've also got the beacon with me, and I think we're gonna have to get this set up underground actually, because we need to take out a underground chamber later on to actually build our oxidizing place. So need to just make sure that the beacon reaches that. There we go. Now just to get the beacon built up. Where I've messed up somewhere. Right, this is probably the worst job I've done ever of building up a beacon base. Oopsies. There we go. Think at least... Yes. With the beacon running though, it's time to start digging. Unfortunately, with the river having to come down so much, it means the rest of the terrain does as well. And well, I obviously don't want the little factory overshadowing the castle. All this to say, we have to do a ton of digging to clear out the space for the plants. So much digging, in fact, that all my tools are pretty much completely broken. Luckily, we are next to my bad, but at least working XP farm to repair them out decently quickly. Took a fair bit, to be fair, but I'm back at the build site, spending the next 40 minutes just clearing away blocks to make space for the copper processing plant, which mainly is a courtyard, which is why there is so many blocks to clear. Which looks like a mess, but I think we can sort out a little plan to work through with some buildings and furnaces, with the plan being to bring raw copper in through the main gate on wagons, which will then be transported through a road pulley system out to the furnaces, where the processed copper can be stored inside the final warehouse. Where to get ourselves started, I want to just kick off the courtyard to have an area to stand on using a mix of dirt blocks, then switching into cobblestone, gravel and stone bricks to create the floor of the wagon storage. We're grabbing a couple of blocks here. I want some logs, some birch, and I want a little bit of copper. Just gonna need an assortment. First of all, we can just create a little bit of a foundation using some deep slate. From this foundation, we use some of our stripped logs to create a bit of a supporting structure for this building, where I'm thinking a nice little sand pallet could work really, really well here for the rest of this. And just to make this easier, the copper I want to use as some trims for the entrances, as I feel like that makes a lot of sense considering this is a copper processing plant, so they'll have a lot of copper readily available. We're just to throw in that little bit of edge. I feel like we can swap some of these out here for our exposed as well, and as this looks a little weird, throwing some copper bars on here just to round that off a little bit. Continuing with our wood sand mixed walls to create the exit for the gantry system that's going to be moving the copper to the furnaces along with the rest of the walls. I'm really excited about that gantry system, but before we can start working on that, we're gonna have to add in a little inner roof here, which we'll do with some spruce just coming across over here. Repeating this on the opposite side. And just continuing up. That's looking better. And we'll start over here where it's going to exit out, where we're going to use some gantries, they're grindstone stamp. But we'll use the grindstones as some connector bits, just holding it up. And then we can run it over this way, where we, of course, have to get it into the other wagon hanger as well, which I think we're just going to turn with a cauldron. Tried a few different things, like a full block and getting the grindstones to work, but I couldn't really figure it out, so I think we're just gonna go with that. But we're gonna be running this over and into this grindstone, which no one talk about the fact that it's gonna be floating. It's gonna be fine. And actually, let's just show a little bit of life, as by just adding in this little hopper up here with a chain and a block of raw copper underneath, I instantly get a bunch of life just added into the build. Or well, not really yet. Hold up. Just gotta throw in a little fence, a stair. Gotta get up to where you're gonna sit. Moving back from this, we'll go with some trap doors. Just hop down a block here. And we're gonna use our grindstones once again, as I've really been enjoying lately using grindstones as wheels on wagons. Then we'll keep that trapdoor there. We'll remove that one. And we can just throw in some raw copper, some copper ore. Maybe they've got a little bit of stone with them. And we'll encase this in some trap doors and just throw in a little sign right here. Clean the front of this up. We'll add in some hanging signs as this sort of, oh, I don't know the name of them. Really should know the name of them. Geez, I did a bunch of years of horse riding. I really should know. The things you steer the horse with for a little wagon. For the second wagon spot, I want the second one as well. And I'm going to try and just make this one 3 blocks wide and a bit longer. Definitely prefer this design over this newer one, but I don't think it looks too bad. And I've added in 2 fence gates here, as I thought it could be fun to bring in some horses to add in and some actual movement and not just imagined movement that we have with the chain now. But with the wagons here, you can really see that these are being emptied out. And maybe even we just emptied this one out just a little bit more, as if it's almost fully emptied. And then this one, they're still waiting on emptying. With the decorational functional bits in, let's move towards wrapping this glorified shit up. To stick on the copper theme, I'm building up the main roof with a classic copper gradient, moving from regular copper all the way to fully oxidized copper at the top trim. For the little outcropping towards the road, I thought it could be a neat little office area, just creating some walls for it out of spruce and dark oak planks. With a bit more interesting roof, using again exposed copper but mixing it with mossy stone bricks and cobblestone. Moving into the building again, it's already pretty filled with the wagons and gantry, but I want to just add in a bit of extra storage space and life into the build. Well, just come together really nicely, but no rest just because of that, as I'm continuing the courtyard down a block and over towards the furnace area and final warehouse. Where I have absolutely no idea how this is gonna go, but I want to try to make a furnace. And I'm thinking the blast furnace is a good start, where I'd like to try and just get myself in a little bit here, where we can bring in some deep slate tiles, just using any block right now as temporary, where this will be our opening into the furnace, which we can maybe just section off a little bit with a chain. And I'm thinking some copper grates, using this even more with some stairs there as the outside. And then the reason we have these holes is so you can insert the copper ore in through here, where I feel like if we just use a magma here on the back, it's going to be pretty bulky, but from the front, it should look pretty good. And it obviously looks very hot in there. Let's see if we can just continue fleshing out the shape of this a bit with some copper bulbs. And as a front, I do really like that. So I have some levers that I want to build with, but if we turn this on, just to symbolize that the furnace is up and running, which we could actually symbolize even further if we get ourselves up here on the back. And this, that's going to come down for the back wall, and just a temporary block where we can bring in some polished deep state up here. And then I brought along with me a pot and a campfire where we can just add that in for the smoke, add that into block along with some copper trap doors, where that definitely looks like a running furnace. Add in a little bit of copper here on the side, and well, the other side and the back, which is pretty flat and boring, but that's fine. It's fine. It's the back. It's fine. It doesn't have to be good. I wanted at least one more furnace where I'm trying my best to keep the original design, but at a 45-degree angle, which definitely turned out to be a bit of a challenge, but I think it looks close enough. And I guess a third furnace wouldn't hurt, as there is some open space towards the wagon shed to bring in another one of our non-rotated furnaces. This feels like a good amount of smelting power. Very unfunctional for me, but the lore. Okay, back to building. The terrain on the backside of the furnaces is looking really rough after I dug it down, and we've already made a couple of rock faces today, so why not build up yet another to complete this area up a bit more. Which looks so much better, and I'd like to continue and extend out that chain and all that, but that's going to connect up to this building, so I think we're going to have to skip ahead a little bit and start working on that. And well, before we do that, I think it's time to actually also start working on the oxidization chamber itself, because that's the whole reason we're doing this build, which means I need to go clear out a trial chamber because I'm pretty much all out of copper. But before we can clear out a trial chamber, I need to actually find one, and I trapped this zombie villager in a cave earlier while building the river, which we can go ahead and cure. While waiting for that, one of my villager requirements is having a proper home, so let's utilize this interior and turn the bedroom into a cartographer's workspace. And it's actually turned night now, and since it hasn't cured yet, I think it would be a whole lot easier to have the zombie villager just follow me over to the house instead of wrangling with the villager. When done grabbing some paper, just got to do a bit of trading with the villager, and hopefully we get ourselves a map. Okay, Savannah map, but we have the glass plane trade. At least. Okay. Trial. Yes. Okay, we need a compass. Compass and a trail explorer map. And let's get back your decoration as well, of course. Right, where does this lay though? Just northeast of here. Before heading off, let's grab our beacon. Quick stop by the iron farm for some iron blocks. And we're off up north to find the location of this trial chamber, which lies just beyond that cool jungle ravine, which I want to build a village in the future. But for now, digging down and entering the trial chamber for the very first time, where I want haste 2 to mine, so I might as well already get the beacon set up with some resistance and regeneration to clear out the chamber. Let's drink one of these. Alright, and that's bad omen, but once we get down here, that should turn into raid thing. Oh, nice. A key on the first one. That's really good, actually. Why did it have to be bogs? Oh, boy. Oh, I activated another spawner. Oh, great. Okay, what do we get? Steak. Nice. No. No, that burned the item. No. Right, we'll got one key. We might as well use it. Because if we get a heavy core, I don't really care about clearing the rest. What? 2 items? Maybe we should have brought a shield in here, actually. Okay. Any vaults? Key. Yes! Okay. Heavy core. Come on. Alright, well, I'll take more items than the first one, that's for sure. There's a vault in here, right? No, it's just a bed. Ooh, bolt armor trim. Nice. Well, okay, let's clear out the rest of the ones in here. Yeah, if we had a smite sword, these would be so easy to clear. It's a bit annoying getting poisoned nonetheless, but not nearly as bad. And carrots. Alright, come on, vault. Give me a key. No, potatoes. I don't want potatoes. Okay. Come on. So bad. That's crazy. All right. Well, whatever. With all the ominous vaults looted, it's time to do what we came here for and start gathering up copper from the ceilings, walls, and floors. Wherever I can get my hands on it, really, with the goal of gathering at least 8 stacks of oxidized copper blocks. That's a lot of copper for just like 40 minutes of digging. Oh my god. And all that oxidized. Dropped off most of the copper at the base, but I've grabbed the oxidized copper we need, and I've got a bunch of blocks of copper as well. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough, but I think it will. And we'll just leave this up here for now, where, of course, the area for our actual oxidization is going to be underground, as it's going to require a lot of space. So I'm just going to start digging a little staircase coming down here, where reactivating the beacon, we can start clearing out a 2x2 chunk wide space to create our copper oxidization hall with enough height for us to bring in 2 layers to have all the space we could dream of having full with blocks oxidizing. With the staircase standing all the way down and the beacon gone, the room is looking fairly big. We need to turn all of these into cut copper. And oh no, I should have. Oh no. Right. I need to unwax every single one of these. So I guess I'll just have to endure the pain of first placing the waxed oxidized blocks and then coming through with my axe and manually unwax them so that they will work as intended. Luckily, I didn't have the inventory space for all the cut copper blocks, so I can also pre-devax the rest of the oxidized copper blocks, which makes building the second layer a whole lot easier, just having to place it and not also de-wax it. And it's about time to fill you in on how this is working, because usually, you know, you spread out copper 1 block here, then you go 4 over, another one, and you just do that, and that is the fastest way to oxidize copper. But if you didn't know, if you have unwaxed oxidized copper like this here on the floor, and we just place a bunch of copper on top of this, we get nearly as fast oxidization as if we were to spread it out. But we're able to fit 36 copper blocks in the same space that we were previously able to fit 4, and that grows exponentially. So this here is so much more space efficient. Now, before we get back upstairs and continue with the build, I want to get at least part of this filled out so that we can start oxidizing. Okay, 10 minutes of deoxidizing copper, and now we gotta craft this into what I need. So I'm going to need 8 stacks of copper bars, at least getting started with. Then we're also gonna need, oh boy, 8 stacks of copper trapdoors, which that's 4. Oh, that's so many copper trapdoors. 6. Right, that's like all of the copper. That's going to be on the bottom layer. And then we're going to want to craft 4 stacks of copper doors. Then we need some copper nuggets, as I also need 4 stacks of copper chains and rods, which I can't quite get 4 stacks of right now. But that's a lot. Jeez. Probably should have prioritized the lightning rods instead of doors. But oh well, let's get these placed down, along with the 8 stacks of bars and trapdoors here at the bottom, which are already oxidizing. And oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to come here and grab copper whenever I need it. And also, it's all built within 4 chunks, so we need a chunk loaded. I think I'm going to do a portal-based one, so I don't have to keep coming back with pearls. But up here, well, don't have all the rods. And then I want to put bulbs over here. And then for regular copper, I'm thinking I'll just go back to the trial chamber and get more of that whenever I need it. Finished off the little floor up here now and got some blocks where I've got mainly tough bricks to use for the walls, but I figured some coal ore could add a nice touch to help brighten up certain areas where it's needed. And along with this, mixing in mossy stone and cobblestone to add a bit of age in. Where I threw on a little trim, a bit more decorative on this side, and we'll get back to why here in just a second, as first, I just want to add in the little gate. And I still have 2 more lanterns, which we can throw just up here to help light up the area a little better. Right here on the side, I think instead of having a staircase on the inside, it'd be a little easier if we can get this coming up on the side instead, which gets us up here and allows me to start just overhanging the second floor a little bit, where I'm going to use some stripped spruce logs as a bit of extra support coming across the entire way, and adding in this little trim underneath here just adds in that little bit of detail that I'm looking for. I've also got some charcoal buttons that we can use, and why don't we grab some pale oak and our mangrove, along with some mushroom stems and smooth quartz. Ooh, and for the windows, some waxed grates, where we'll start over on this side where we have one of our strip logs coming out. We'll go up with some of this mangrove here, where I'm out on some scaffolding here with some shelves and signs, which I think we can just use to add in a little bit of extra detail to these pillars. Back up top, let's get rid of our red blocks and bring out the white ones, where this is going to be the main portion of our walls, where I'm going from our stripped pale oak into our darker mushroom stems. Just add in a little bit of highlighting there. And then we've got the opening, which I'm thinking we can fill with some stairs first of all. Come in with some trap doors and pale oak stairs on the top. Then this is gonna get a little bulky. We'll come in with some mangrove planks on the inside of this real quick, where we're in the middle, extend in some oak trap doors as a bit of a divider in the middle of the window. Which finally, right on the inside of that, we come in with the actual window block. Which, from down here, I love the little slit that we get in the window. And we still get the pale oak right there. Where maybe I should have used pale oak behind as well, but I think it's fine. Whereas, taking focus away from the house, we've got enough built in here now. If we just bring out the sign to bring in, well, if I had the grindstone, but I was talking about to bring in our grindstone, where we can come down to the ground here, and I don't want to call it a machine, but it also sort of is a machine. I don't really know what to call it, but a little thing that can control which direction the chain spins, at least. And we're just gonna continue this across and link up with this grindstone. We're right about here, perhaps. Just break one of those and get up, as I need to just place in a hopper. Ow. A hopper. It does help to do it at the right height stamp, where once again with the main decoration in, I'm just running around adding in some wood piles for fuel for the furnaces, some copper piles, spilled copper, a wheelbarrow, and some foliage. Really brings together the area with some more life happening. We actually have the fuel coming in and it's looking really good, as well as some foliage peeking back through in there. And hopping back towards the warehouse again, I'm just quickly wrapping up the staircase to the second floor. Moving on from that to work on the remaining 3 walls using the exact same idea we figured out earlier for this, with a couple more windows on the back, as once I start building in that area should be quite a view. Moving a little down to start work on a chimney coming out of this side as well, using a mixture of dripstone, brick, and granite. A mixture I'd like to reutilize on the roof walls, where I've once again created an overhang with some supporting mangrove that I'm then placing in a dark oak trimmed brick wall on top. Replicated that on the other end, and now we've just got to wrap up the roof, where a simple tough to deep slate tiles texture should do the trick and tie the build together. Although along the top trim, to add in a little bit more detail, I'm adding in polished deep slate with weathered copper bars and cyan candles on top. Then, as I was in a meeting about some secret future plans, I also want to go ahead and bring in the courtyard wall using exposed chisel copper with a brick mix on top, topped with polished granite, switching for some tough and copper bars for the gate itself. which even without a path is looking really good. And I really like how this building turned out. It's pretty unique, but I really like the size of it as just a bit of an experiment to the size of the buildings inside of the future city, which will be just around the corner. Definitely got some more experimenting to do with that, but I am definitely a bigger fan of this size compared to cities I've built in the past. But for now, let's wrap up the interior, where I want to extend up some of those shelves that we were using in the shed in here as well to store our actual copper. Now, this isn't really meant to be a long-term storage of copper, as my eventual plan is to maybe connect up a minecart system to this place to transport copper from here and into the future city, where there's going to be a proper storage and a workshop to create all of the different copper goods. But we do still need a decent amount of space, at least, so that we can store a good amount nonetheless. And for that, I'm thinking we bring back the gantry system we have to transport the raw copper ore from the wagons to the furnaces, but instead to transport our copper blocks to shelves. Which, with some more copper details here on the inside, added in this little machine thing in the back as well, which I'm thinking is providing power to all of the chains. It's a little modern maybe, but it's fine. It's fantasy medieval. It's fine. It's fine. And I'm not 100% sure if I do want to do the minecart systems. And we will also be transporting copper to other places, so I don't think it would hurt to just add in a little wagon here in the middle, where we can just fill it up with a little bit of copper. And I brought a rail with me and some ladders, which we can use as a little rope holding it in. It has a word, but I don't know it. Then perhaps also another wheelbarrow and yet another one, which is just a copper block now. I guess it doesn't make that much sense. It would be great to have the copper inside, but that would be a little hard. Let's just swap those around so that that's being actively moved in there. And we can just add some signs onto this one as well, since I have them. But I think that's coming together and looking really good. Just want to have a little peek at down here. I've filled up the final lightning rods, and I also added in all of the copper bulbs over there. And well, it's definitely oxidizing. It's not going too fast. Down here, are any in the next stage? Yeah, doesn't look like it, but they're definitely on their way. And well, I'll be doing a little bit of work around the area, so I'm not 100% sure where I need to be for it to be loaded. And well, I want this area to be constantly loaded whenever I'm in this world, so we need to set up a chunk loader. And I've never actually built a nether chunk loader, which should be enough to load all of these chunks. Actually more. It should load a 3x3, but I've got a couple of resources here that hopefully will be enough to make a portal chunk loader. And I think I'm gonna put it over in this chunk in case I want to make this bigger and expand, as it should load a 3x3 chunk area around itself. If we just go up a little bit and back into that chunk. Okay, so let's see if we can build this. From my understanding, it's going to be a dispenser facing upwards with a hopper pointing into it. We are then going to build our actual portal right above that. Then we're going to use some blocks coming up right there. Get a sloping rail, which we're going to place a minecart with a hopper. Should go inside of the obsidian, just like that. I might actually have to just quickly remove that and clear out some blocks here on the back side, just to make sure that it actually lands in the correct position. Then we should be able to remove that rail, place in stone slab right there, add our 3 minecarts in there, and a torch somewhere. Lever to activate. I think a torch right here. Oh, did that push the... Oh no. Okay, let's get the minecart hopper back in place. Then we place in that. Add our minecarts. Doesn't activate. Perfect. We can add in our slab. We can activate the portal. Just gonna mark the coordinates. Okay, we were pretty much in the right spot, but I do want to just move it down in the world, as I think that's just gonna help me in the future. Where I think this is far enough. Just clear up the little bit of space around me. Make sure the portal is facing east to west. Perfect. Light that up. Then my understanding is just fire around it. Go through. And we flip the lever. Yeah, that seems to be working. I think that's a chunk loader. I don't really know if I can test this in any way, but that should be loading this chunk that we're in right now. It should be loading this one, which means it's also loading this, that, and yeah, all of the chunks. I'm just gonna probably realize with time if that works or not. Now, with the entire factory built and the copper oxidization area all completed, we've still got a path to build, starting with clearing away this amount of terrain. Because you didn't think I had forgotten, did you? Well, only partly. But building up another larger azalea tree in the area, and you know, maybe you've forgotten to subscribe. And while you're at it, leave a comment, even if it just says no comment. It helps me way more than you think, so thank you for all of the comments on the previous episode. Back to building, where I want to continue our path from the tree crossroads, sloping down underneath, connecting up with the side of the river, and running down past the entrance to the copper processing factory. Already, this feels so much more complete now, being able to easily reach the factory. First, being the fields I was talking about earlier on these plateaus to not waste the space that could be used to feed the future city, which adds a bit of life down here. But I think we can do a little better, as I've grabbed an arrange of foliage blocks, as I want to detail the surrounding terrain and of course the entire river, all the way from the copper plant up past the bridges and surrounding area of the lake, which ties up and completes this terraforming today. What's also completed is the copper processing factory. I ran some horses over for the wagons, and I really love the feel of this build, with all of the elements that makes it feel like it's an active factory and copper is constantly being processed. Not to forget, of course, that inside all of this detailing hides my oxidization room, which is starting to get to the second stage of oxidizing. Oh, how's the bottom floor looking? Ooh, even better. Oh yeah. This is fantastic. This is going to be so nice moving forward. But that is all of the time that I have for today's video. I've spent a lot of time. This video goes out in less than 24 hours and I still have to send this to my editor and so I hope you enjoyed, and as always, thank you to all of my supporters and thank you to you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.